Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Morning, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Man, every time I turn this thing on, my throat decides to rebel. We're back and ready to go, I hope, right now. Welcome to one and all. I am Ray Flowers of FG. We're here every day, Monday through Friday at about 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. I'm usually with you Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Justin Fenchman with you on Wednesdays. Tuesday through Thursday, we have we have guests on from FantasyGuru.com. They provide great information. They provide great analysis. They all come on about a half an hour through the show. Today, we'll visit with Russell Clay. And hopefully it'll inspire you to get involved over at FantasyGuru.com. You know, it's like we got some pretty good stuff over there at the website right now, including, boom, it's on the screen right now. All the football product the rest of the regular season, all of it. One price. DFS, wagering, and seasonal. All three. One price. All three football, meaning college football and NFL. So all the college football we have, all the NFL we have for the rest of the regular season, $159.99. You get every article, you get every podcast, you get every live stream, you get access to every Discord room, you get access to every rankings, you get access to everything. The projections, all of it over at fantasyguru.com. And that's for college football, for the NFL, for DFS, wagering, and seasonal football. Get signed up right now. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. If you having a problem with the checkout process, or you want to do something different, maybe you already got two of the products, you want to add the third one. Maybe you want to add two of the three and not all three. Send an email to support@fantasyguru.com, support@fantasyguru.com. Check it out. It's a great deal. It really is, folks. Get access to, again, all the people you see here on the show. You know how good their work is. You get an opportunity to see them share some of it with you here Tuesday through Friday. On Mondays, I do review of Sunday. So next Monday, I'll be reviewing all the Sunday action from week 8 of the NFL. But yeah, get signed up. It's a really good product. Very proud of it over at fantasyguru.com. Again, I'm Ray Flowers. You can follow me on social medias at the Ray Flowers. People, just to put it out there, I'm much more easily found nowadays in the Discord at fantasyguru.com. I'm not ignoring people on, Twitter. If you send me a comment on Twitter, I'll get to it. Don't DM me. I don't check DMs. I check DMs like twice a week. I don't know why people always DM me. Don't DM me on Twitter. I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to get it. Just send it to me regular style. This show, Fantasy Sports Daily, is Monday through Friday at that 12 to 1 zone. We go about an hour. Jeff Mans follows us from 2 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. I'm with Jeff on those Wednesdays. So here for an hour, take a break. Listen to Jeff's show for 3 hours. And then remember tonight, the DFS live stream hosted by Tyler Beaker, who's with us on Thursdays. He was with us yesterday. He will be hosting that later tonight. So actually 3 shows today. 4 shows if you have the Circus Show over at Fantasy Group. 4 shows today for football. That's kind of coverage you get at FG. What are we doing on the show today? We're going to spend a couple minutes talking some baseball leading into the World Series. It starts today. We'll break down Thursday Night Football, Vikings versus Chargers. We'll look a little bit at the storylines in the NFL. What's kind of popping, what's kind of percolating, what do you need to know right now? What's happening? Some good news, some not so good news. I'm just rolling through to see what I missed here. Oh, by the way, Garrett Wilson will not play in Week 8. Yikers. That is not good for the Jets. They got a whole bunch of injuries they're dealing with. So something to take a look at with your fantasy squad. Are you like me? And we'll talk about this too. Like, I played at Quentin Johnston because of the bye weeks. I played Aaron Jones because of the bye weeks. You do that too? Yeah. We ain't doing so good right now, are we? No, we are not. Okay. In about 25 minutes, we'll talk to Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. He's our Dynasty guy over at FG. And he does all kinds of football. You can hit him up in Discord. He's there all the time. But he's our Dynasty guy. So we'll go through a whole bunch of players. Guys like Daniel Jones, who are ascending. Harold Fannin. Keon Coleman, Elic Ayomanor, Monangai, Woody Marks, Michael Penix, Cam Ward. What are his thoughts on these guys from a Dynasty perspective? We'll talk to him in about 20-25 minutes. Okay, let's talk some baseball real quickly. And again, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this. Just to, we are still covering baseball at fantasyguru.com. We're posting an article a week. The most recent one is a review. We're just doing reviews now. The most recent one was a review of pitching. So you might want to check that out over at the site. Zach Wheeler, who had the shoulder issue, Zach Wheeler was streaming toward a top 3 finish in the Cy Young Award. Ended up, I think, falling just short of 150 innings because he had the clot in his shoulder, had surgery. There's the air vent making the appearance for Ethan. I don't see Ethan in the chat room yet, but by the way, there you go. Zach Wheeler got a chance for opening day, according to Dave Dombrowski, president of baseball operations for the Phillies. Really good news. Now, he didn't say that Wheeler would be ready for opening day. Obviously, it's way too early to be making that determination anyway. But the fact is that it's good news that thus far, Wheeler's recovery has gone on according to schedule. You never know, but this is a storyline that we'll have to follow closely. Wheeler, until this season, like the last 5 years, has been kind of one of the Iron Man, one of the top 10 starting pitchers in baseball. Easily, probably top 5, let's be honest. We'll see where he's at next year. All kinds of uncertainty given his age and given the procedure he had. We'll dive into this a lot more directly as we get closer to next season. William Contreras, who hurt his finger, but we didn't really know we hurt his finger because they didn't really tell us. And then they eventually told us and said there's nothing they're going to do. He's going to play through it, and really struggled to start the year. Then caught fire. And in the end, his numbers were pretty much where you hoped they would be. They were down a little bit, but they weren't bad. Well, he's seeing a hand specialist next week, now that their season is over, the Brewers. And he might have a procedure on his left finger. So the left middle finger still ain't right. You got to have your middle finger. You got to be able to flip people off. So we'll keep an eye on this. It doesn't sound like there's an expectation that even if he has a procedure, that opening day is in danger at all for next season. But remember, left hand, catcher, right-handed. Something to think about with William Contreras. But again, should be okay based upon what we know right now. This one is really weird. Emmanuel Clase, Luis L. Ortiz, still officially on the suspended list. They're being investigated for their ties to sports betting. Obviously, the NBA is blown up with that storyline here. The Guardians denied Emmanuel Clase's petition to play winter ball. That's part of the bargain agreement is you can't play without permission. They denied it. Really strange to me that Ortiz and Clase still are in this limbo zone. Like, how long does this investigation have to go on? They either did it or they didn't do it. It's really weird it's taken this long, but just an update there. Neither one of these guys will be allowed to play winter ball. Hopefully we'll get some clarification here, but I don't know. Is the length here good news for the players or bad news for the players? I don't know. We'll find out hopefully soon what's going on, but there's danger that these guys never throw a pitch in Major League Baseball ever again. Going to the World Series, Blake Snell for the Dodgers. Makes sense. Trey Yesavage for the Blue Jays. This is where we're at in the playoffs. Obviously, the Dodgers are the better quote-unquote team on paper. They're the more dominant team on paper. They have more stars. Doesn't mean they're going to win this series. If I had to pick a team, I was talking to my friend Paul Bruno, who lives in Toronto. If I were to pick a team, it would be the Dodgers. I think you have to go with the Dodgers. They just have so much firepower, both on the mound and in the batter's box. But the Blue Jays are, Flagmero's been blazing hot. The team believes in itself. They're getting quality pitching. Kevin Gausman probably goes in game 2. We'll see. Yesavage, he's pitched well. He's got strikeout potential. He's got the stuff to potentially hold the Dodgers down. Debatable how deep he's going to go in the game. I think this will be his first start on 4 days rest. So there's that. At least first start in the majors on 4 days rest. So the Blue Jays will try to keep up with the potent Dodgers. One positive for the Blue Jays, Bichette, who's dealing with the knee issue. Apparently we're going to have my vent on the show today. Bichette, who's dealing with the knee issue, looks like he's got a pretty good chance to play. It's unclear if he's going to play shortstop, second base, or DH. They're still trying to decide that. They might just leave Andres Jimenez at shortstop and put Bichette at second. They might try Bichette at DH and put Springer in the outfield. We'll see what they do, but really good news for the Blue Jays that it does appear like Bichette is going to be on the active roster, and that's a big addition, even if it's just for his bat. Because remember, he's having a very impressive season before the injury hit. All right, now on to football, where most of you are here. Chargers defeated the Vikings last night in Thursday Night Football, and the score was 37-10. It was bad. And like I hinted at earlier, I have Jordan Mason in a couple of leagues, was playing him because of the bye weeks. 4 carries for 3 yards. Catastrophic failure. Catastrophic failure for Jordan Mason. Now, it's not his quote-unquote fault. He only had 4 touches. They were behind, in this game. They were behind 14-0 at, 2 minutes into the second quarter. they couldn't run the ball. So Jones ended up coming back. Jones had 7 touches to 4. Jones played more snaps. He ran more routes. Jones didn't do anything because, again, they couldn't run the ball effectively, but he was needed because of the game flow. And that's the situation we're dealing with the Vikings now, is that we're going to get the goal line stuff, probably Mason. Early down stuff, probably Mason, for the most part at least. Jones working third downs and Jones being needed when game situation, game flow goes opposite of what the Vikings expect or hope for. Vikings fall to 3-4. Like, woof. Rushing attack was terrible last night. The receiving attack, Carson Wentz was what he was. I mean, he's ham and egging it right now. I know there's been a lot made of J.J. McCarthy when the player came on the sidelines and he jumped over him. Didn't look like his ankle was an issue. Kevin O'Connell came out and said if McCarthy's healthy enough, he'll play. Seems very likely that J.J. McCarthy is going to be under center the next game for the Vikings. Is that going to improve things? Well, McCarthy won a spurious Player of the Week honor in Week 1. It was fake. It was because of 1 quarter of football. Did not look good in his first 2 games. He's played 2 games in a year and a half in the NFL. So we'll see. But Carson Wentz, under duress, took 5 sacks, I think, last night. It was a difficult game for him. Constantly guys in his face, and that's kind of been the MO for the Vikings. And that, there's no doubt that McCarthy has got a little bit more mobility than Wentz. Whether the youngster can settle, given the uncertainty with the offensive line and what they've got, the injuries on the offensive line to the Vikings, we'll see. But it did not look good last night. To get back to the pass catchers, Jefferson had 7 for 74, which is he's been in that 13 to 16 point range most weeks in PPR setups, which is fine but disappointing. There's still plenty of time for him to have a really strong season, but we're about halfway in and he's just not getting in the end zone. And I mean, again, 11 targets, 7 catches. These are the zones and the areas if he's in every week, we're winning. But he's not getting in the end zone. Hopefully that changes. Jordan Addison got in the end zone even though he only caught 3 balls. The passing attack was basically neutered. TJ Hawkinson wasn't a thing. 2 catches for 26 yards. He didn't show much of a connection at all early on with J.J. McCarthy in 2 games. Vikings are in trouble. They fell to 3-4. Their offense is kind of in neutral. They have to hope that McCarthy brings a spark. I don't know if that's reasonable. We'll see, though. That's what they're going to have to try to do. It's rough. Mason and Jones are now kind of flexish options in the backfield. Remember, Mason was getting in the end zone every week, so we were fine, but he was running for 3.5 yards a carry. This team has not run the ball effectively. Minnesota, they've started to have some issues with game flow. Christian Darrisaw is dealing with health issues. Ryan Kelly, their center's on the injured list. Brian O'Neill was inactive yesterday. They got some problems they need to deal with, do the Vikings. Now, on the other side of things, you scored 37 points, you win a game, you move to 5-3. Chargers are happy. Justin Herbert, for those people that took Herbert, ran for 62 yards, threw for 227 and 3. Those numbers are eerily reminiscent of Lamar Jackson. He's not Lamar Jackson. He shouldn't be expected to do this every week. But that's a Lamar Jackson effort. Boom. That's a Josh Allen effort. Boom. And he continues to be very impressive, does Justin Herbert. 227 and 3 with the 1 pick. 7 for 62. He only threw 25 passes. Great effort for him. Ladd McConkey's starting to come on here last couple of weeks, really coming on. He led the team in targets, receptions, yards, and he scored a touchdown yesterday. He doubled up everybody else in the target count, too. He had 10 of the 25, which is, a 40% target share. He's not going to have that moving forward, but he's gotten, 15 targets last game? So 25 targets in 2 weeks. After that slow start, Ladd McConkey seems to, quote-unquote, be back. But there's also one more positive with the Colts and then 2 negatives. The other positive is Oronde Gadsden, 5 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. A huge fantasy effort yet again. That's 3 consecutive games, if I'm not mistaken. Let me verify that. I say that here on Friday morning. And I want to make sure it's right now. Why is my mouse not working? Come on. But we're on air, folks. We can't have the mouse go. Come on, mouse. Let's see here. Let me verify that. Yeah, I'm not losing my mind. 7 for 68, 7 164 and a touchdown, 577 and 1. That's 3 consecutive games with at least 13.8 PPR points and 5 catches for 68 yards, which makes you a star at the tight end position. The production was early, but who cares? He got it done. Did only see 5 targets, but again, the team only threw the ball 25 times. Gadsden, you have to look at him now as a tight end 1. I mean, obviously, You just have to look at him that way. That's the five catches for 65 yards basically makes you a star at the tight end position anymore, right? And that's where he's been the last 3 games. Now the 2 negatives. Number 1, because the Chargers were out ahead 14-0 here, because they were up 21-3 at halftime, they didn't have to push the offense. They only threw the ball 25 times, all that. Keenan Allen had 4 catches for 44 yards. Keenan Allen played 25% of the snaps last night. 25%. Now, Keenan Allen usually is the third receiver, meaning that he doesn't play in 2 wide receiver sets. The 2 wide receiver sets are usually McConkey and Johnston. So Allen's usually only on the field when they go 11 personnel. Now, they often go, obviously, 11 personnel. Didn't need to last night because of the game situation. They were up by 14 points immediately. They were up by 18 points at halftime. They didn't need to do it. They didn't need to run plays. They didn't need to push the offense, anything like that. So Allen is more game flow dependent than you would think. At least he caught 4 for 44 last night, playing 25% of the snaps. That's a positive. That's kind of the floor with him, even so, but it's not a good effort. Certainly, it's not what you were expecting. But it's better than 0. Quentin Johnston, 0. And for all those people that thought he was going to be the number 1 wide receiver of the team, and for all those people that said he couldn't fail, and for all those people that were pumped up about him, hopefully you listened to all of us saying the guy can't catch still. Hopefully you listened to us in the rankings and said, you got to pump your brakes a little bit on this guy. Let's not get crazy. I know Jeff Mans took a lot of heat, and I mean a lot of heat, for not ranking Quentin Johnston higher. Guess what? Yeah. Okay, Quentin Johnston last night. Let me pull up the numbers so I'm accurate. Quentin Johnston played 38 snaps and ran 27 routes. He was second amongst all wide receivers in routes run. Remember, 38 and 27. Keenan Allen only played 18 snaps and only ran 17 routes. Okay, so huge difference there in terms of who was on the field. Again, Johnston's the guy in the 2 wide receiver sets. Johnston now has caught 2 passes in 2 games. Scored a touchdown last week, okay, but 2 passes in 2 games. And after 4 consecutive games of 70 yards to begin the season, he has now posted 70 total yards his last 3 games. Ugh. He's barely a flex option at this point. It's just the way it's going, especially with the ascension of Gadsden at the tight end position. Oof. Greg says, I traded Vidal for Golden in Dynasty. That's fine. Vidal obviously is making a name for himself here. If I'm not mistaken, he'll be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year, so he'll be free to sign with somebody, whether that leads to him being the lead running back or the support piece with somebody. He's obviously doing enough. He ran for 117 yards and a touchdown last night. That's 2 or 3 games where he's been very impressive statistically and with the eyeball test. He'll be in someone's backfield as a usable piece next year. Will he be the lead guy? I don't know. Getting Golden's fine. Like I've said all along, though, good luck with that. Golden is a rookie, okay? But he's had a very hard time establishing himself on a weekly basis, anything more than a guy catching 3 passes in that Packers offense. And that's with Jaden Reed out, and that's with Christian Watson out. So, I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's see here. Hold on one moment. The old mouse is acting up this morning. Of course, my camera's acting up this morning. Maybe I got the heebie-jeebies. Let's talk some storylines in the NFL. We got about 10 minutes till we visit with Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Terry McLaurin's going to play this week? Deebo Samuel's going to play this week too? It seems likely, and again, we need more information today on the Friday practice reports and everything like that. But it seems like Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin will both be active this weekend for the Commanders. That's where we're at right now. McLaurin practicing full yesterday. Good news. Obviously, Marcus Mariota is going to be the quarterback and not Jane Daniels, so the Commanders can't get healthy, right? They can't have all their weapons on the field at one time. And that makes it very difficult, obviously, to have success. It also makes it difficult to do what you really want to do on offense. Now, Mariota is very good. We heard Tyler Beaker yesterday talk about his, fantasy points per play the last handful of years and how Mariota's actually been elite at that. And he's a similar-ish quarterback to Daniels, right? He can throw the ball a little bit. He can athletically run the ball a little bit, but they can't run the exact same offense, right? So I think that, the ceiling on the passing attack is minimized with Mariota versus Daniels. Doesn't mean we're not using Terry McLaurin if he's active. Doesn't mean we're not using Deebo Samuel if he's active. If those guys are active, we're using them. Just understand that, there is a little bit of a ceiling there because of the situation with the quarterback. obviously situation they're dealing with the backfield and everything like that. But good news. Terry McLaurin, bottom line, looks like he's trending toward playing. If McLaurin is active, you don't start him because you drafted him in the 3rd round. You start him because he's one of your 3 best wide receivers. Yeah, I would anticipate McLaurin in this first game back, if he does indeed suit up, to see 75% of the snaps and be his normal guy in the offense. I don't anticipate McLaurin being activated and playing 18 snaps like we saw with Keon last night. So if you got McLaurin, he's a wide receiver 3 this week, in my opinion. A.J. Brown. Let's look. There was an update on A.J. Brown this morning. Let me pull this up because I noticed it right as we were talking. This morning, head coach Nick Sirianni declined to give an update on A.J. Brown's availability for week number 8. This is not good. Okay. We're on a bye week. Everyone's got issues they're dealing with. Everyone's got problems they're dealing with. I have A.J. Brown in a couple of leagues. We need A.J. Brown to play this week. Sirianni went on to further say, look, Brown doesn't have to practice to play this week, which I do believe is true. But, if he gets another DNP today, so A.J. Brown is one of these trigger point players we have to watch very closely this week because it does sound like there's certainly a possibility that he will not be active this week, which would be a huge blow. The fantasy squad's a huge blow, obviously, to the offense of Philadelphia. In theory, okay, now follow me here. In theory, Jahan Dotson, who catches 1 pass on 2 targets every week, in theory would improve his standing. In reality, you couldn't be much more different than A.J. Brown stylistically than Dotson. So it's not like we're going to have Dotson running the same routes as Brown. It's not like he'd be the same piece of the offense. He's not physical. He's 5'11", 180 pounds. He's totally different type of player. But you'd have to figure that Dotson would be more heavily involved in this offense. If my mouse would work, I'm trying to see here. Yeah, Dotson hasn't had more than 3 targets in a game this season. And his last game of 2 catches was week 1. So desperation time. If Brown is out, if you need to run to the waiver wire and get Dotson, should play a lot more snaps. I mean, you look at this group here. Xavier Gibson, no. John Mechie will see run if it comes to it. Devonta Smith obviously would be in line, as well as Dallas Goedert, to be the leaders in terms of pass catching. All right, let's see here. Why is I'm telling you, my mouse is freaking out. Yesterday, my mouse was freaking out, and I thought it was because the battery wasn't working. Maybe it's and I do have a fancy, what is this, a Logitech? It's a $100 mouse. The Jets have all kinds of issues here. Let's look at the Jets. There was an update this morning on the Jets. Here we go. The Jets. Breece Hall is questionable for week 8. He's got that knee issue. I'm anticipating he plays at this point. I think you should be too, but he's trending toward playing even though he's being listed as questionable. Mason Taylor, who will talk to Russ Clay here in a few minutes. Mason Taylor is being listed as questionable with a quad injury. He was added to the injury report yesterday. Obviously, when a player is added to the injury report during the week, but he's looking likely to play this week. Tyrod Taylor is questionable with a knee injury. He's been limited in both practices to start the week. We still don't officially know if he's going to start. The assumption is if Tyrod is healthy enough, if his knee's okay, the assumption is he will be the starter and not Justin Fields. I think that's an absolutely fair assumption, but it's still an assumption at this point. So we don't have an answer. We'll have to see what the practice reports say today, and we'll see if the team tells us. This is a maddening situation. I have Jaden, and one league I'm in a single quarterback league. It's a 14-team league, so it's deep. I've got Jaden Daniels, who I know is out. I've got Justin Fields, and I'm just waiting. Do I grab Andy Dalton off the waiver wire and drop Fields, knowing full well that Fields is still the upside play? Is Fields going to start again? Well, yeah, he's going to start again, even if he doesn't start this week, because Tyrod Taylor can't stay healthy. We know that. Interesting scenario. Sauce Gardner, by the way, ruled out with this concussion. So we know he won't be playing for the Jets. And we heard earlier, or hopefully you heard earlier if you were here with us, that Garrett Wilson will not play because of his knee injury. He'll miss a second consecutive game there with the team from the Jets. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, going back to the Commanders, by the way. Ian Rappaport this morning, a couple hours ago, did report that there's a possibility, a real possibility, according to him, that Jaden Daniels' hamstring injury is only going to cost him 1 game. Obviously, very good news for Jaden Daniels owners. By the way, Jaden Daniels is on multiple teams of mine, multiple teams of yours. You get in the sense that we're in that zone where He's never going to be healthy. This is going to be an ongoing thing with him. Yeah. Going to the Packers, we were talking about Golden earlier a few minutes ago. Christian Watson was limited on practice on Thursday. He told reporters that he plans to play this week. Obviously, it's not up to him, right? But he says he's trending toward playing. Dontavian Wicks, who has a calf issue, he remains sidelined at this point in time. So it's a lot of uncertainty with the Packers group. I will say what I've always said with this Packers group, and the numbers bear it out. We don't know who's going to – I mean, Dobbs is the guy, but we don't know what that really means. Christian Watson is, as I said to somebody yesterday in Discord over at FG, for those people that watch Star Wars, Admiral Akbar, it's a trap. Christian Watson is the biggest trap in fantasy football. Christian Watson has done nothing in his career. The only thing Christian Watson has done in his career is get injured. And when he's on the field, he does nothing. His career is built on like 4 games. The excitement he has is on 4 games. Like, he's done nothing. Last season, he had 4 games of 10 points in a PPR setup. 4. The year before that, he had more. He had 5 games of 10 points. 10 points. 5 games of 10 points the season before that. As a rookie, how many 10-point games did he have? I should have put this in my article. Come on, mouse. On my article today, talking about the Coffin Corner. As a rookie, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. That's really where he made his hay. Weeks 10 to 13 as a rookie, he scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 touchdowns. So he scored 7 touchdowns in a 5-game stretch. For his career, he has 14 touchdowns. Remember what I said earlier? His career is built on a handful of games. Really is the truth. I'm not recommending anyone add Christian Watson. I mean, if you need an upside play, he's a better guy than like Khalil Shakir. If you need 10 points every week, it's Khalil Shakir by a mile over Christian Watson. Christian Watson can't stay healthy. Christian Watson has lots of guys around him to battle for looks. Up to you. We'll table that one. But again, when you ask me, hey, should I add Christian Watson? My answer is basically no. Again, if you need an upside play and you want to take a risk, go for it. But nah. Nico Collins didn't practice yesterday. So today is huge. He's dealing with the head injury. Seeming more and more likely with each passing hour, he will not be active this week. That'll leave Dalton Schultz if he plays, and he's going to assumingly play through injury. Dalton Schultz, Jalen Noel, and Jaden Higgins against the Niners. Niners defense continues to be more effective than it should be given the losses they had. Josh Downs practiced fully on Thursday. Great news for him. He's coming back from a concussion of his own. Makes it way more likely he plays than Collins. If Downs is back, the excitement for Alec Pierce this week is tempered a little bit. Obviously, they fill completely different roles in the offense. Downs more underneath, Pierce more stretching the field. But the hope that Pierce gets 7 or 8 targets is greatly diminished if we have Josh Downs, on the field, 5 or 6 targets. Remember, they've got a matchup this week with the Titans, and they might destroy them. So they might be in full run mode in the second half. So good for the team. Not great news to be planning to go with either Pierce or Downs this week. So there's me. There's my air vent. There's my review of what's going on in week 8 and all that kind of good stuff. If you missed any of it, you can always watch on demand on 3 spots where you can leave these comments and questions that we'll address here with Russell Clay in a few minutes. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, Twitter X, and Facebook.com/Fantasy Guru HQ. In those 3 places, you can leave comments and questions live that we can address. You can watch the show live. You can watch on demand. There's also 2 other places where you can listen. You can always go to fantasyguru.com at the top of the page, click the Elite Plus tab. You do that, you can find the show in podcast form. And then you can just go wherever you listen to podcasts. You can see it there on the screen at the bottom. Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, YouTube Music. Just type in Fantasy Sports Daily there, and you should be able to find the show to listen to in the podcast form. It is a Friday, and every Friday we talk to my man, Russell J. Clay of fantasyguru.com. He does seasonal football. Don't take what we're about to do as if he doesn't do seasonal football, because he does, but he's also our Dynasty guy. So let's welcome him in right now. Let's have a discussion. It's kind of the midseason, Russ. It's not really the midseason, but it's kind of the midseason of the fantasy game for most people, especially if you don't, you don't make it to the playoffs. So we thought it'd be a good time to kind of check in with you. How you doing?
Manny, let's go, Manny.
Yeah. Manny. So Manny's up because yesterday. Okay, you want to just dive in, Russ?
Oh, thank you for having me on,
Yeah.
Ray. I appreciate you. I just saw Manny did a little dono there.
He did, and he had a question. So let's just. We said this yesterday because we had this happen yesterday too. If you donate money to us, we will stop whatever we were doing. We're money whores. We'll stop whatever we were doing and answer your question. So let's get to Manny's question since you saw it there. Start sit question. Half point PPR. Would JCM take the place of any of the following, assuming everyone is good to go in terms of health? We just talked about Nico Collins not getting a good sense that he's going to play this week with the concussion. If he plays, you start Nico Collins. Terry McLaurin, it's really important to see what practice looks like today, but we got a report that he was full in practice yesterday, so he's trending toward playing. Stephon Diggs should be fine. Pittman should be fine. So, how do you rank these four guys this week? Let's help Manny out here. Let's assume Collins is playing. I don't think he's going to play, Manny. I think the easy one here is he's not in the lineup. But how do we rank these four guys? Let's start there. McLaurin, Collins, Diggs, Pittman.
Well, I consider myself a Drake May guy. So when I see Diggs there, that's my first lean. McLaurin might be without Jaden Daniels, and then Pittman is a good second option. So I'd go Diggs, Pittman, McLaurin, with Nico probably out. But as you mentioned, if Nico is in, then we're probably playing him. But yeah, that's a good setup, Manny. If those are your four that you're deciding on to start or sit, you probably have a really good roster.
So let's make sure we answer the question directly because he paid $7,000 for our advice. If everyone is good to go, would JCM play over any of those guys?
No.
If Collins is out, it's easy and we slide him in there. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that Bill, Corey Krosky Merritt, he's a flex guy. And while most of the time you say, hey, you know, rules of flexology often dictates going with the running back, there's not a lot of stability with that group in the backfield in Commander Land. You talked about the situation of the quarterback. So yeah, I think, Manny, the wide receivers are the zone to go. Again, neither one of us expect Colin to play. If he does, Russ gave you the answer there. But I think we'll probably roll in the other three guys. Thank you, Manny, and everybody, by the way, for being part of the show every day. Great group of people in the chat, in the Discord, all that kind of stuff. We talk about it all the time. Lots of positivity here. There's lots of negativity in social media, sometimes in Discord. But they don't really tend to make it over to here, Russ. So that's always good. Maybe it's because you're such a positive fella. You think that's it?
Well, not so positive when the Jaguars are on lately, Ray. But other than that, things are good.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, that's not your fault. At least you're not a Vikings fan. How bad was that last night for the Vikings? I mentioned this earlier. I'm dealing with what everyone else is dealing with too. Like, you know, I played Aaron Jones because of bye weeks. I played Quentin Johnson because of bye weeks. Woof.
Well, part of that was Carson Wentz got hurt.
Right.
And, you know, there's not much they can do with that at that point. But yeah, that game was not in a good way from the start. So I do think the base of Aaron Jones's role is still there, but this is pretty ugly. Yeah.
Do you like my air vent, by the way? My computer's rebelling this morning, so my air vent that you can see over my shoulder here has become a character on the show. Yeah.
Is that I wish I knew any air vent terminology or I'd pull it out right now, but I got nothing.
Yeah, I don't either. But that's where the AC comes out when it gets hot in here. Sometimes you can see my garbage can down here, but I guess it's kind of hidden right now. And you can't, too bad you can't actually see. I have a RBI baseball arcade game in the other room. I've got autograph pictures on the wall. Yeah, and then you can see my air vent. Looks like I don't have anything. I have a nice office, folks. Let's get into it. Let's talk why we really brought you here. Like I said, the season's not half over, but the regular season for most people is 14 weeks, right? And then weeks 15, 16, 17 of the playoffs for most. We're obviously in week 8 now, so we're kind of about the halfway point of the fantasy season, at least the regular season. So I thought it'd be a good point to check in with you. Again, Russ updates the Dynasty rankings every Wednesday. Russ, you do that live with people to some extent, correct?
Yeah, it is. And it's a fun time of year in Dynasty. And again, in sort of the tradition of keeping the hobby alive, when a lot of, Ray, while there are many teams that are crushing, there are the teams that we look at and say, for Dynasty, All right. Well, how am I going to keep myself having fun here when I'm 1-6 or 2-5, and my team has no shot? So that's where Dynasty comes in, and I can say, hey, look over here, 2026 rookies, and trade all your stuff and do all the goofy stuff. So it's, with redraft, we're still fighting, even if we have those records. But for Dynasty, it's a little easier to say, okay, it's over for me. At least I'll maybe get excited about a guy or two in college and, build up my rookie picks and go from there. We've talked about this. You don't want to strip your whole team of all the win now assets, but it is kind of fun to have a little hope, even though this season's lost.
Yeah, and Russ does the updated rankings Wednesday every week, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
every Wednesday.
He does the video on TikTok talking about it with y'all. Sometimes he wears a button-down shirt. He's in Discord all the time answering questions. And folks, everybody, we have rooms for we've got a waiver room, we've got a trade room, we've got a seasonal room, we've got a dynasty room. Make sure you're asking those questions in the proper rooms here if you can. That's greatly appreciated. Start out the quarterback position. Michael Penix. I mean, the numbers are not good. My coffee corner piece is out today, and basically his numbers say he's Bryce Young. I don't know. I mean, is Michael Penix? I know you had high hopes when the season began. Has this first half of the season this year soured you on him in a dynasty setup?
He's tough because he is what he is. There's not a big role you can build out for him as an upside guy. But he does have great weapons around him, and I'm still pretty excited for that team as a whole. Here's the thing. His ceiling is not high, but the floor looks reasonable. The problem for him is that running game is so good and Bichette is so good. Most games, they just say, all right, we're winning or losing with Bichette. And in some cases they lose. But yeah, they are not going to force the entire offense on Michael Penix this year. So he'll end with all right numbers, but like you mentioned, it's not pretty, and a lot of these games are not very fantasy relevant for him.
What about Cam Ward? Like, it's really tough to judge Cam Ward. There's injuries. There's a crappy team. There's changing on the coaching staff. Throwing anyone, even a number one pick out there week one of the rookie seasons, it's problematic. The numbers are atrocious. The offense is atrocious. The situation is horrible. Are we blaming him? Do we see enough here that we're still thinking the same thing we were thinking 3 months ago, or do we have some concerns?
I'm completely throwing out this rookie season, but it's not good. It's bad. It's really, really bad. It's not his fault, but it's really, really, really bad. And we have seen in the past, sometimes that does affect the long-term future. I mean, you remember David Carr, of course, undeniably destroyed his career going to the Texans. I look at Trevor and I wonder if things might have been different if he went to a more stable situation. A lot of these guys have to find themselves in weird situations. So when I look at Ward, I wasn't really high on this draft class to begin with at quarterback. So I wasn't really high on him to begin with, but I'm not double counting this against him. Like, we got to wait till he gets more weapons. I like to think of Elic Ayomanor as a good player. He was like a 4th round pick. Like, they don't have any, they just released Tyler Lockett, who was their original plan. And so, yeah, it's ugly.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com joins us Fridays at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. One more quarterback. What about Daniel Jones? You and I talked about my Dynasty Startup League at the beginning of the year. We reviewed it. 50 roster spots, 12-team league, full IDP. Basically, we have NFL teams. And I got Daniel Jones in the 33rd round.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, I also have Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, so I haven't started Daniel Jones. But I got Daniel Jones in the 33rd round of a 50-round draft. Now he's a QB1. He's resurrected his career. Where is he in the dynasty? Because this is a real pivot point player, because you could probably trade him now, maybe get a nice return. You could say to yourself, well, maybe he's finally quote unquote arrived. We've always known he's had skills and it's in a great scenario, but he's a free agent at the end of the year. What are we doing with Daniel Jones?
I currently have Daniel Jones as an 85 overall, which it's out of 100 scale. So he's right next to Bryce Young, Brock Purdy, and JJ McCarthy, Cam Ward, all those types of guys. He's right in that mix. Here's the thing. If you're in a dynasty startup today, are you taking Cam Ward or Daniel Jones? My gut tells me I'm still taking Cam Ward, but my brain and everything about this year says Daniel Jones is the easy pick. So that's where Dynasty's hard, because over the next couple years, it's probably going to be Daniel Jones clearly. So that's where I have him ranked. Okay. It really is dependent. Are you trying to win now? Or are you rebuilding? So, but I imagine a large portion of people are probably taking Jones over all those guys right now. So that's where he's at.
Russ, let's go to the backfield. Woody Marks has had a couple of games this year where he's done something. He scored a touchdown last time, so we're getting some interest here. He had that one huge game. The Texans' offense has kind of been stuck in the mud for a large portion of the season. They don't really have an effective running game. Who is Woody Marks? Is he a third down back? Does he profile as someone who should be touching the ball 18 times a week? Is now the time to sell him if someone's interested? Are we holding it? Like, he's somebody that I think if you find the right owner, you might be able to get a pretty nice return. Would that be the right thing to do?
He's all right. He's all right.
Right.
He gets the job done. He could probably have a few years with 3.8 yards per carry and some cool touchdowns like he had last week. So he's all right. I've never been a huge Woody Marks guy, but he does have a nice receiving profile. So the weird thing is they haven't been using him as a receiving down back much. Right. I mean, he does have 2 receiving touchdowns, but they've been using him more as a runner than a receiver. So that's been a surprise to me. And because of that, I wouldn't love him to be getting 15 carries a week. That doesn't feel like a good way to use him, but I think the Texans O-line is so bad. They're just, sometimes you just got to hand it off instead of taking a sack. So I think that's where we're at with the Texans right now.
Russ, Manny earlier asked the question about JCM, Bill, the running back of the Commanders. Who is he in a dynasty setup? Is he going to take over this backfield? Is he going to be the guy for this organization for a handful of years? There's been some nice runs. There's been a couple of decent games, but overall production's kind of lacking. Part of that's Daniels, part of that's Debo, part of that's McLaurin. I mean, they've had a lot of things they've dealt with here, but who is JCM? Who is Krosky Merritt long term?
Every once in a while, we will get a Priest Holmes, or we will get a Isaiah Pacheco or a Chris Carson, where they're a late round pick or undrafted guy. Austin Eckler, great example.
Arian Foster is always the guy.
Arian Foster, another great one. So we do get these guys that are stars as late round picks. My problem is for most of them, the Arian Foster came in and was one of the best running backs in the league. Same thing with Priest Holmes, Eckler for a while as well. But for most of these guys, if they break out for a few games, it's kind of like the Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees movie, where they are surviving, they're living their day-to-day life, but there's always that guy with the mask on ready to replace them, or not. This is Halloween season, but you guys know what I'm saying. Like, you're always stressed out. So for Dynasty, it's really hard to get invested in these guys because you're always looking over your shoulder that next offseason, we got to get through 7 rounds of the draft. We got to get through free agency, and you got to do that every single year. So with JCM, he looks fine. I like the offense he's in, but I really just view him as a season long asset right now.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. We got a question here from Taryn who says, do I keep JCM and Genty over the second half? They've both been so disappointing so far. I don't know why you're disappointed in JCM. Like that, there should be no disappointment there. This is the guy you picked up, and we'll see what happens. Genty's been disappointing. Now, running backs, when they're disappointing, it's not Genty's fault, okay? But the offense of the Raiders is awful. The offensive line is bad. The quarterback play is horrible. They've lost Brock Bowers, which is a massive piece of what they want to do on offense. He hopes to play next game out. Geno Smith can't get the ball to Myers, Jacoby Myers. I don't know what. This offense is a mess. And Genty's getting hit in the backfield every time he gets the ball. So, yeah, I get being disappointed there. Fair. The question is, what do we do with these two guys in the second half? I mean, again, Bill, you picked up off the waiver wire in most instances. Genty invested a second-round draft pick. Trading low on a guy doesn't do anything. Like, you're going to trade Genty for Marks. Like, what are you going to do? I think with Genty, when you drafted him, you're just in. That's kind of my thought. What about you?
I'm going to push back a little bit here on Genty.
Okay.
I know he just had one big game and the rest has been pretty frustrating. Mm-hmm. But he does have 5 touchdowns in 7 games. Mm-hmm. He does have 530 yards in 7 games, which is on pace for 1,400 yards on the season. That's a real upper tier rookie season. I know it's not first round, where you drafted him in your fantasy draft expectations, but he's RB13 right now. He looks pretty darn good. I know the offensive line's bad. Geno Smith has been terrible. So I know it's not been fun, especially those 3 games where he was under 10 points. So I know it hasn't been good, but I also, especially with rookies, I like to take a step back and say, okay, same thing with Justin Jefferson, right? I think anyone who drafted Justin Jefferson is not happy right now. And I saw this last decade with Calvin Johnson, one of his years. Justin Jefferson's on pace for like 1,500 yards right now.
Yep.
He's just not getting touchdowns, and people are calling him a fantasy bust. And I just am like, okay, hold on. I get the touchdowns aren't there. But some of these guys, like Breece Hall, Ray, is trending quickly towards record-breaking numbers of not scoring touchdowns. He has 600 yards. And, when you look at the fantasy guys in the range of 600 total yards, like everyone's talking about Javonte Williams as an awesome fantasy back right now.
Right.
They have the same yardage, essentially. So just keep in mind, like Breece Hall has more yards than Cam Scatterbo right now. Breece Hall has like as much yardage as Devon Achane right now. So that's where we're at with some of these guys. It's just, this is how it goes some years.
In a PPR setup, Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. In a PPR setup, just to put the context out there, these running backs have fewer points than Genty. Saquon Barkley. Let me say that again. Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne, J.K. Dobbins, David Montgomery, Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, Kenneth Walker, Derrick Henry. Those guys all have fewer points than Genty. So Russ ain't wrong with what he's saying there. It hasn't been ideal, but at least he hasn't killed you. Question here from D. Lynch 50. In the Dynasty League, and you kind of addressed this a little bit earlier, Russ, but in the Dynasty League in general, when do you start dropping injured players to keep your season alive? As an example, you've been holding on to Chris Godwin since last year, and obviously Godwin out yet again with the fibula injury.
Depends how bad it is, Mr. Lynch. Are you 0-7? If you're 0-7 and your team stinks, I wouldn't drop Godwin, but this is right around the time where you start saying, all right, why am I holding on to, Brandon Cooks or Tyler Lockett, or like a lot of those vets have no use for you, especially if you're starting to trend towards, okay, my season's kind of a wrap here. So yeah, this is the time where you start to look at a lot of these vets and say, all right, do I need this guy? But maybe you can trade Godwin. That's what I would say. So yeah, maybe look to trade. But yeah, this is the time of year, Lynch.
Russ, I got a question for you. It's an unfair question, but I'm asking you anyway because you're really good at this. Monangai, Devin, Neal.
Oh boy.
If you had to choose one, because this is what everyone does to me, so I'm going to do it to you. If you had to choose one in your Dynasty League, which guy would you favor? Is there an obvious answer?
I like Devin Neal in the draft, but Monangai's playing so well. This is sometimes you just got to override your takes, and I would go with Monangai. He looks too good, and he's with Ben Johnson now. So if he can stick around on that roster, I mean, any injury to Swift, and we're looking at a big time. So Monangai, if you nailed him this offseason, shout out to you. That's like a crazy pull if you got Monangai. So yeah.
So let's follow that up with a question here from ER Batterman asking the bane of my existence question, the question that comes up so often. I wish the football season was over. The random which backup running back do I grab? Because I'm not handcuffing. I'm just grabbing backup running backs. There's a video I would really encourage you to go to Elite Sports, youtube.com/@Elite Sports. Click the live tab at the top. Scroll down and find the one that says depth chart. Okay, because I spent 15 minutes talking about this exact topic, and I also spent 10 minutes talking about tight ends on another episode, and I spent 10 minutes talking about backup running backs on another episode. So check all those out. We got a situation here where we've got Blue and Neal on the bench, but Brashad Smith is on the waiver wire. What do we do? Do we drop Blue? Do we drop Neal to add Smith? What do you do? What's your advice? Because again, I've spoken about this forever. What is your take on this? Because none of these guys, Blue, Neal, or Smith, are worth starting with any level of confidence. But if an injury happens, Russ, what do we do?
Ray, this is like it's kind of like we're at the roulette wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, all right, I've got 22. I'm putting my bet on this spin. And then it's not 22 on that spin. And then they're like, all right, I'm going to switch to 17 now. And I'm going to switch to 12 after that. And my biggest thing that I've seen, whether it's with Fantasy Guru subs or just people on the internet or my own lineups, I want to make things as simple as possible. Right. That is my entire goal. I want as many set and forget guys as I can get. I want to have my handcuffs or not, whatever your strategy is. But whatever I draft at the beginning of the year, I drafted them for a reason. I picked them up for a reason. So when I look at this, it's like, I like Brashard Smith, but obviously you guys picked up Blue and Neal for a reason. So
don't forget that so much of what Brashard Smith did last week was when it was 31-0 in the fourth quarter when the Raiders had given up. 10 of his 14 carries were in the fourth quarter. Like, the game was over. It had no bearing on the game whatsoever. So don't just look at the 14 touches last week and think he's getting 14 again, because that was completely game dependent, Russ.
Yeah, that's like when they send the position player into pitch, right?
Yeah, right, kind of. Yeah,
that's my one of my favorite things. Yeah. So I like Brashard Smith, but I don't. But if you like Neal and Blue, like, you know what I'm saying? I did not word this well, but do you know what I'm saying, Ray?
I know what you're saying. And the answer to the question that's being asked is the question that the reason I said it's the bane of my existence for those people that haven't seen the old shows or heard me is you're asking Russ and I to predict who's going to get hurt, because that's what you're doing. Because you can't start Blue, you can't start Neal, you can't start Smith, you can't start them. Even in this bye-Mageddon week, if you're starting him, you're just throwing a dart. You're just hoping, right? You need an injury to Williams, you need an injury to Kamara, you need an injury to Pacheco. Otherwise, now, in the case of Smith, Hunt got hurt last game, so maybe he gets 10 touches this week. It's certainly possible. Now, there's also been rumors that the Chiefs are in the market for a running back. We've even heard Hall to the Chiefs. So that would destroy Brashard Smith completely. So the bottom line is, choose a team Choose a scheme, invest in it. The best way to do this is to handcuff your guy and not worry about it. Talking to Russ, people ask this question all the time. Ray, I have 6 spots for running backs on my team. What do I do? You grab 3 starters, you grab 3 handcuffs. Boom, it's done. It's taken care of. You don't have to worry about it every week. You don't have to play the waiver wire game. You know, I would say I would go Blue and Smith. Okay. But Neal is 1 injury away from Alvin Kamara, and Kamara misses games all the time. 1 injury away from getting 16 touches a week. So, I mean, again, you got to choose your poison there. R3D7 Iper. I don't even know how to read this. I don't know. Can you make, what is that supposed to say? Is that like a vanity license plate that we need to figure out?
Red diaper?
Okay, there you go. Let's go red diaper.
I don't know. Red,
Tez Johnson, Xavier Worthy, or Keyshawn Boutte. You have a favorite this week. Obviously, Worthy's dealing with the return of Rice. Everyone's excited about Boutte because he's getting in the end zone. No one seems to be paying attention. He's catching 2 passes on 3 targets every week. And then Tez Johnson, who has to step forward because of the health concerns the Buccaneers are dealing with. You have a favorite between these 3 receivers?
Oh man, this feels like I'm at the gas station and I have the payday, I have the Snickers, and I have the whatever that other one in the white I was
gonna say whatchamacallit just
yeah. The whatchamacallit, and it's like they don't have the Reese's, but I got a bunch of other random stuff that I gotta pick through here. I'd probably go with Tez with Evans out, but I still like Worthy a lot. I know Rashee Rice is back, but I still think Worthy's very talented. So I would give that another day, leaning Tez right at this moment.
Yeah, and who is Boutte? Because again, he scored 3 touchdowns in 2 games. So how do you not get excited about that? He's only averaged 3.5 targets in those 2 games. If you look at his season to date, he's had 3 games of 45 yards. 45 yards. He's had 2 games of 1 catch. He's had 2 games of 2 catches. He had a game of 3 catches. 5 of the 7 games, he's given you 6 fantasy points. I mean, he hadn't done anything for the majority of the season, but there have been splash plays. May has done great, your guy. Spread the ball around, though. Everyone's involved. He's hitting whoever's open. He's playing great football. The offense is working. But Boutte, despite the touchdowns, there's really no volume here, Russ.
And he makes amazing plays, too, if you watch these touchdowns. But, yeah, the volume is crazy. They're splitting it up so many ways that it's hard to trust him. But, I mean, every year we see guys like this where they go on touchdown runs. So maybe he's one of those this year.
Russ, a final question for you from a Dynasty perspective. Russell Clay of FantasyGuru.com joining us here. Harold Fannin, Mason Taylor.
Oh, God.
Okay, both guys have had – come on, Russ. Both guys have had some nice games this season. Both guys are in redraft lineups, right? Do you have a favorite between these two in a Dynasty scenario? Do you favor Fannin or Taylor? Is it obvious to you? And then who do you start this week? No, don't answer that one. Fannin or Taylor? Like, what do we got with these 2 guys?
I wasn't laughing because it's a bad question. I was laughing because I've been seeing that in redraft a lot this week, and I'm like, man, that is so hard. Yeah. For Dynasty, I would go with Mason Taylor just because he has the 2nd round pick, and it looks like he's developing there, and he's one of the few pieces on that offense I think is going to be around in a couple years. But Fannin has had nice moments this year. So the only problem is Dylan Gabriel. What are we doing with that quarterback situation the next couple years? So I imagine the Jets will have something more exciting than my boy Justin next year.
Russ Clay at FantasyGuru.com joins us every Friday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. He's in Discord all the time answering questions. He updates the Dynasty rankings on Wednesdays. He's often hosting the live stream on Tuesday nights, doing the seasonal thing. He does his TikTok videos if you want to do that. Have you done a food review in a while, Russ?
Ray, I did. I got these pretzels. They were Stellar brand pretzels, and it's a cool brand that's online. Someone suggested it to me. Did the whole review. Went to click the recap to like post it, and it was delayed.
Oh,
like the audio was off. So I did do those. So I do have more pretzels reviewed in my little rankings, but I
Okay.
don't have any video for it. Sad. Lost in time.
Hate when that happens. And
Yeah.
it does happen, unfortunately. And it's always
All
great
that
to ask.
for nothing.
Yeah, well, especially it's worse when you do like a whole hour, right? And then it gets,
Yeah.
oh, damn it. Do I do it again or do I just say F it? Russ, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Ray.
You have anything exciting popping this weekend? Anything coming up?
Nothing too exciting. Just we're in week 8. We're grinding through the year, and let's keep moving, right?
If you want, you can come over and clean my air vent.
Oh yeah.
If you have nothing to do, maybe we can.
Yeah. I HVAC could have been a possibility for me at one point, right?
Could have been, absolutely. Russ, thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next Friday.
All right, thanks, Ray.
You got it. Remember, folks, you can find the show at fantasyguru.com. Click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. You can type in Fantasy Sports Daily wherever you listen to podcasts, be that Spotify or YouTube Music or Pandora or Apple Podcasts. You can also find it in 3 different spots as well. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, and on Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. We'll be back on Monday as I review all of the Sunday game action for Week 8. For Russ, I'm Ray. This has been Fantasy Sports Daily, Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Good luck this week.